A man hunts in the forest with his child. A humanoid shadow suddenly flashes by. The father seems to realize something's wrong. He frantically takes his child up the watchtower. After barricading the wooden door, he aims his rifle intently at the darkness. The scraping of claws grows louder. Cold sweat drips from the man's forehead, unaware of the warm breath behind him. Sudden growls pierce the air. Then footsteps rapidly fade into the distance. The father exhales in relief. It seems the creature has left. Not far from the watchtower lies a half-eaten deer carcass. He keeps scanning through his rifle scope. The terrifying figure reappears in his sights. The boy notices his father's ragged breathing. "What was that?" he asks. The father feigns calm reassurance. "Just a bear. Nothing to worry about." Back at their cabin, the boy overhears his father's panicked radio transmission. "Wolf face spotted in the area. If we don't eliminate it, every child in the community could be in grave danger. Deep in these woods lurks a virus called mountain fever, spreading among animals. Infected humans transform into bloodthirsty humanoid beasts. Locals call them wolf faces." 30 years later, that boy has become Blake, now living in the city with his family. Blake adores his daughter Lily, their bond unbreakable. "I'd do anything for my girl. This is incredible. How did you read my mind?" His wife Charlie, a tenacious journalist, maintains their family's fragile peace. Their calm shatters when Blake receives a death certificate for his missing father. Police called off the search after weeks of finding nothing. Grief-stricken, Blake battles guilt and sorrow. Memories of his strict father flood back. He fled those woods at 18, never to return. Until now. That evening, Blake cautiously proposes a family trip to Charlie. "Let's visit the old forest cabin. We'll collect Dad's belongings and have a proper family vacation." Charlie initially resists, overwhelmed by work deadlines, but hoping to mend family ties. She reluctantly agrees. Soon, their RV heads deep into the woods. Nearing their destination, they find the road blocked. "Did I take a wrong turn?" Blake wonders. No cell service confirms their isolation. He digs out an old paper map. Lily tugs her father's sleeve. "Someone's watching us." The stranger's rifle glints ominously. Charlie's instincts scream danger. Blake shouts their identities. The armed man steps closer. It's his childhood friend, Tom. Years apart made them strangers. "Tom, is that really you?" Hearing Blake's plan, Tom insists on guiding them. "The trails keep changing," he warns. Tom stares hungrily at Charlie. Envy twists his weathered face. The mountain community's dying. Barely any women left. Just ghosts in these woods. Before Blake can respond, a figure materializes ahead. Swerves violently, sending them careening downhill. Blake wakes to find their SUV wedged in a tree. Tom scrambles for escape. His door creaks open, and he plummets screaming. Blake's heart pounds as he shouts, "Exit through my side." As he moves to follow, the rearview mirror reveals. The shadowy figure climbs closer. Blake strains to slam the door. A gnarled hand bursts through. A massive paw shattered the car window. His arm was clawed in the process. His childhood friend fared far worse. Dragged into the jungle depths before begging for mercy, Blake remembered the legendary Wolfman. He scrambled to the opposite side of the vehicle, confirming the monster's temporary retreat, urging his family to exit quickly. Staying meant certain doom. Father's cabin stood mercifully close. The family trekked through dark woods. An aged wooden cabin emerged ahead. Frantic footsteps echoed behind them. The creature was closing in. "Get inside now." After tense moments, the exterior fell silent. Blake surveyed the hauntingly familiar cabin, securing every window and door. Grabbing a flashlight, he descended. An old generator gathered dust below. He pulled the rusted lever. Light flooded the darkened cabin. The suffocating fear momentarily lifted. Blake reassured his daughter. "We leave at first light." They resumed their mind-reading game. When sleep finally claimed her, Blake slipped from the room, reinforcing defenses with grim focus. Charlie voiced the burning question. What was that thing out there? Blake's knowledge proved scarce. Some viral mutation, twisting men into beasts. He barricaded the door with furniture. Charlie doubted its effectiveness. "We need to call for help." But cell service had vanished. Father's old radio sparked hope. The vintage equipment crackled alive. No responses on any frequency. Static answered every plea. Charlie found keys in an oak chest, secretly pocketing her discovery. Blake suddenly detected rotting decay. The stench led to a storage room. Father's cured meats hung preserved. Childhood delicacies now unearthed. One bite brought searing oral pain. Chewing harder, he spat out a molar. Must have injured it during the crash. Charlie fetched medical supplies. While cleaning wounds, she saw bloodied gashes on his arm. Torn fabric revealed distinct claw marks. Just window glass cuts, he claimed. Charlie's suspicion grew. Her eyes betrayed deep unease. Blake dismissed the concerns, hammering reinforcements relentlessly. The racket woke their daughter. Apologies spilled repeatedly. The child stared transfixed, her gaze unnervingly intense. Charlie stood silent nearby. An eerie tension filled the air. Deep into night, strange sensations plagued his hands. Gut-wrenching pain followed. Odd noises echoed from above. Had the wolfman breached upstairs? He ascended toward the sounds. The commotion intensified. Cautiously peering through darkness, the source revealed itself. Spiders skittering en masse. Blake realized his hearing had amplified. Struggling to suppress panic, he heard the strange noise again. This time, the sound came from outside. It must be the wolfman approaching. Blake told his wife to stay put. He crept to the door to investigate. But the next moment, powerful claws seized his ankles. His wife turned deathly pale, yet charged forward resolutely. Grabbing a hammer, she struck wildly. The wolfman recoiled in pain. Blake barely managed to escape, but his condition worsened visibly. Time blurred as consciousness faded, until Blake finally awoke. His sharp hearing detected his wife broadcasting a radio distress call. The conversation's content chilled him to the bone. "My husband's infected." He can't control himself, or even speak. Blake couldn't believe his ears. He tried to explain, but words failed him completely. Charlie helped Blake to bed. Sleep proved impossible. Clumps of hair came out in his hands. Even their daughter stared at him strangely. Charlie offered paper and pen. "Write what you can't say," with clumsy movements. He scrawled, "I'm dying." A surge of sorrow overwhelmed Charlie. "I need you. Without you, I can't do anything alone." But she never imagined her words had become gibberish to Blake. He'd lost all human communication ability. Fresh blood seeped through Blake's bandaged arm. Removing the bandage, he saw the wound had grown fibrous tissue. Blake sensed his arm changing. He licked the wound like an animal. Human teeth began falling out. Blake realized he was transforming. He muttered inhuman sounds. Charlie's face filled with grief. "Even if you become a beast, I won't abandon you." Spotting their parked truck outside, she remembered the keys they'd found. Rushing to the basement, she grabbed a battery and knife. "We'll get you to a real hospital." There's still hope. The prowling wolfman had mysteriously vanished. They reached the truck undetected. Charlie shoved Blake and their daughter inside. She popped the hood quickly. The long, dormant vehicle had a dead battery. Thankfully, she'd brought a spare. After connecting the cables, she jumped into the driver's seat. Turning the ignition, the engine's roar sounded heavily, suppressing her excitement. She removed the spare battery, but as she shifted gears, a monstrous face appeared. The wolfman had tracked them silently. The gear shift snapped violently. They abandoned the truck and fled. Blake led them onto a greenhouse roof. The wolfman pursued relentlessly. Under the harsh lights, they saw the beast pacing below. A claw suddenly slashed upward, slicing through the roof. Cold sweat drenched them all. Through the torn opening, the wolfman's face leered horribly. Their daughter slipped, nearly falling through. Blake knew this couldn't continue. "Get back to the cabin now." He jumped down to distract the beast, luring the wolfman away. Charlie grabbed their daughter and sprinted towards safety. From nearby bushes, violent sounds erupted. Mother and daughter didn't look back, barricading themselves inside. An eternity later, the fighting outside ceased. Charlie peered out cautiously. Blake's battered form emerged. She unbolted the door instantly. She allowed her husband with a twisted face to enter the room. Charlie feared Black might lose control. Fortunately, he just collapsed on the floor, gasping heavily for air. The girl remembered games she used to play with her father. She gently placed her hand on Black's head. Though father and daughter couldn't communicate, they both profoundly sensed the deep connection between them. But then, Black suddenly spurted a mouthful of blood, revealing newly grown fangs in his mouth. Showing a mouthful of newly grown fangs, he pounced on Charlie without control. Fortunately, The impulse to bite people was stopped at the last minute. Blake knew he was about to be completely beastly. For the safety of his wife and children, he was going to leave the cabin. Who knows, just open the door. The wolf-faced man went and returned. Caught off guard, Blake was thrown to the ground. After all, he's not completely beastly. Completely downwind in strength and speed. Good at the critical moment. Charlie came out with a dagger. While the wolf-faced man's attention is drawn, Blake aflutter. Open your sharp teeth and bite the neck stem severely. Until the other side, completely no movement. He just lifted his head. The familiar tattoo on the wolf-faced man's arm was spotted. I can't believe this monster, Blake's father. Under the huge heart shock, he can no longer withstand the onslaught of bestiality. With the last trace of reason to run outside the house, unfortunately, it didn't take long. Blake collapsed in agony. Bones of the body, variations in speed visible to the naked eye. The nails fall off one by one and are eventually replaced by claws. Blake has completely evolved into a wolf-faced man. Even the eyes of the world has also undergone earth-shaking changes. And Charlie in the house, still comforting her daughter not to be afraid. Suddenly all the lights went out. The room fell into the dead darkness again. She looked through the window, see the total bestialization of Blake. The sadness in my heart can no longer hide. Sherry knows she's completely lost her husband. From time to time, there was a noise above the cabin. I think it's Blake looking for the entrance. Mother and daughter are touching the black and preparing to transfer, but I don't want the wolf-faced man to appear in front of me. Charlie wields the dagger instinctively. Take the opportunity to run out of the house with your daughter. I hid in the warehouse next door. Although the gate has been firmly locked, Blake still refused to give up. Charlie's heart panicked. He picked up the trap and set it on the ground. I don't know how long. At last, there was no movement outside the door. A joy in Charlie's heart. Thought Blake left, but I don't know that the other party has sneaked into the warehouse, is quietly staring at themselves in the dark, until the trap buried in the ground suddenly launched. Only then did Charlie realize that Blake was approaching. While the other side can't move, she's fleeing the warehouse with her daughter. However, the beastly Blake, more brutal than imagined, bite off the clamped calf. He just landed on 3 limbs, towards the mother and daughter. It's just a lot slower than before. Charlie takes her daughter through the woods, finally back to the original accident site. She picked up Blake's small, long gun on the ground. The wolf-faced man is not far away. 2 people can only escape in the direction of the road. Once again, through the sentry tower, Sherry had a brainwave. Climb in with your daughter. She knew the wolf-faced man would come after her, and this is the best place to snipe. It didn't take long. Bestial black creeps up. However, the critical moment, but Charlie fell into a brief hesitation, and Blake forgot to do it. The little girl seems to see through each other's heart. She said her father wanted to end it all. The next moment, Charlie pulled the trigger. Look at the gradually die black. The mother and daughter were sobbing because the other side has been mumbling. Unfortunately, they didn't understand a word. That's all for the werewolf. Recall the plot of the whole play. The best performance is the mother, knowing that her husband is going to die. She sniveled, say, I can't do anything without you. As a result, the car was repaired and the knife was repaired. It even sets traps. Until finally, he decided to shoot for his daughter. Sure enough, some of the words in the female population. Just the usual trick of coaxing male creatures. Well, that's it for today. Friends with different opinions. Please also leave a message in the comment area to discuss. See you next time.